Hey, Joe Zarzaur here with Dr. Malone for another installment of Zarzaur Law TV. Today we're going to talk about the concept of permanent injury and how it relates to car wreck cases in Florida. As most of you know that have been in a car wreck, if you go to the ER, pretty much everybody gets released. I'd say 95% of the people that are in car wrecks go to the ER and they get released. And they get released with what's usually termed cervical strain or sprain, or lumbar strain or sprain, or some other kind of non-critical sounding injury. And then they end up in my office a lot of times and they're thinking, oh, well, I don't know if I have a permanent injury because the ER let me go home. As we've pointed out before in other videos, and Dr. Malone will verify this in a minute, the emergency room is not there to diagnose all of the injuries you could have. They are not there to diagnose the injuries you likely do have from the car wreck. What they are there to do is to make sure you're not going to die in 24 or 48 hours or lose a sense or lose the ability to walk or use your limbs in some way. They're there to rule out all the critical stuff. And as soon as they've done that, it's somebody else's issue as to what exactly you have injury-wise. From a legal standpoint, it's important to know that in Florida to have a case that's worth going after the other driver, that you can go after the other driver really, you have to have a permanent injury. That doesn't mean that you have to be disabled. That doesn't mean that you have to have something that doesn't work. That just means you have to have a symptom that is not going to go away. People call it a nagging symptom on occasion. You can have nagging problems. Oh, I have this old nagging injury from this wreck when I was a teenager. That is a permanent injury. And that's not something that disables you necessarily, but it's something that presents symptoms to you for the remainder of your life. And I know, Dr. Malone, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a something that's going to keep you from working or keep you from doing your activities, but it is going to provide symptoms to you for potentially the rest of your life.
Yeah, it impact your day-to-day life and your enjoyment of it. And to your point of not everything is, or it's nagging, but there are more specific injuries where, like, you could have an injury to your spine where you can see it on an x-ray, you can feel it, you can correlate that injury with those symptoms or that finding with those symptoms. And then you start thinking of, like, loss of sense. People don't think about, can I smell anymore? Or does my vision change? Things like that. Or if you lose a peripheral sense with, like, your hands or your toes because you have a nerve injury in your arm. You never broke your arm, but you may have injured it in an accident.
Right. So if you're in a car wreck and you're released with an emergency room thing that says you just have a sprain injury, that does not mean that you don't have a case. That means you need to consult with a lawyer. We evaluate the case based on the amount of injury or damage to the cars, the amount of force applied to your body, and those kind of things to decide whether or not there's a case worth pursuing. You can find us on the web at zarzaurlaw.com, or you can call us the old-fashioned way at 855-HIRE-JOE. Thank you.